Thank you for joining me on 13 Plus. I'm Cali Lichter, and this is On the Docket, a weekly recap of crime and court in and around the state of Michigan. This week, we look deeper into a tragic Grand Rapids triple homicide where a mom and her two sons lost their lives in an act of deadly domestic violence. And we learn more about a principal currently on leave after violating parole for a drunk driving offense. All of that and more is On the Docket. On January 27th, police allege a man shot and killed his self-described fiancée and her two teenage sons in a triple Grand Rapids homicide. Charles Broomfield is charged with 3 counts of first-degree murder and weapons offenses. As the early days of the case, the family mourned their losses.
Police tape still lingers on Warden Street, a day after a shooting claimed the life of a mother and her 2 sons. On Wednesday, the family of Jacqueline Neal confirmed she and her sons, 15-year-old Cameron and 13-year-old Michael Kilpatrick, were the victims of a fatal triple shooting in Grand Rapids on Tuesday. In a statement, the family said in part, quote, "The tragic loss of our beloved Cameron and Michael Kilpatrick and their mother Jacqueline Neal to a senseless act of violence has left our family utterly devastated. There are no words to adequately describe the heartbreak we feel over losing multiple family members." Kent County Commissioner Robert Womack confirms the 2 boys were students at the Kennewaw Hills School District. A neighbor down the street, Madeline Taylor, who didn't know the mom and 2 boys, says it's devastating to hear what has happened.
I was really devastated to hear of just like the violence and like innocent lives being taken. The place that's supposed to be safe for children wasn't safe for them.
And days after the shooting, Charles Broomfield was officially charged and arraigned in court. Despite uncontrollably crying while calling 911 and giving a story about 2 suspects robbing his house, Grand Rapids police say it was Charles Broomfield who killed the woman he says was his fiancée and 2 of her sons in a triple homicide. Broomfield is facing capital murder for the deaths of Jacqueline Neal, 13-year-old Michael Kilpatrick, and 15-year-old Cameron Kilpatrick at their home in southeast Grand Rapids on Tuesday morning. Court documents obtained by 13 on Your Side say Broomfield was crying so hard on his initial call to dispatch that they couldn't get information from him. But when they got there, he was standing next to Neal's dead body, calm and seemingly not upset. He told investigators that 2 people broke into his house and heard one of them talking to Neal. He said when he went downstairs, that suspect pointed a gun at him and another one followed him upstairs. He told investigators the one who followed him upstairs got his gun from his gun box. His account also included him hearing the gunshots that killed Neal, Michael, and Cameron, but Broomfield's 5-year-old son, who was in the room with him, was unharmed. Broomfield says he saw footprints in the snow and assumed the suspects had left the house. But investigators tell a different story, that they found a locked gun box in the backyard with tracks to and from the house to the box, but no fresh prints in the snow or prints to indicate 2 suspects. Officers found that lockbox key in Broomfield's room on a lanyard with a keychain that says "Number 1 Dad" and a photo of his 5-year-old. They were able to determine all 3 were shot with the same gun, and medical personnel say the trio were dead for nearly an hour before the 911 call was made. Detectives say Broomfield later admitted to shooting and killing Neal, Michael, and Cameron. During his arraignment for the capital felonies, Broomfield replied,
"Yes, I guess."
When the magistrate read his charges and
A little bit here and there.
when asked if he understood his rights.
You would like to have clarification.
Neighbors and friends also mourn the loss of their loved ones gone too soon.
This involves kids, so it's automatically going to hit the heartstrings there, especially since a lot of our kids were best friends with them.
The killing of teens Michael and Cameron Kilpatrick, along with their mother Jacqueline Neal, has shaken the community of Apple Tree Estates mobile homes to its core. The 2 boys spent much of their childhood in that neighborhood and have many friends who still live there.
We were out playing games, we would hang outside all the time, play in the snow and play in the summer.
Michael would always he would always be really happy and always would talk great about the people that he knew about. Like his mom and his parents.
Neighbor Courtney Jones says she's comforted to see the community of Apple Tree come together in such a difficult time.
But when you see everyone coming united and trying to be there for the father and the other children and the other family members as well, it makes me have a comfort behind that tragic event that did happen. But we are trying to come together as a community.
Caitlin Lambert, whose younger brother was also friends with Michael and Cameron, took the initiative this week to start a bottle drive to support the boys' father.
You can just drop them off at the front office and I will return them, and any donation that I make collecting them, I will be given to the father of the kids that lost their life.
A candlelight vigil and balloon release at Apple Tree is also being planned to remember Michael, Cameron, and Jacqueline. Courtney, Caitlin, and all of the boys' friends we spoke with say their impact on the neighborhood will always be remembered.
When we moved into this park, and him and Michael and Felix all got so close, and Carter, it was really good to have that and know that someone like Michael and Cameron were around for these kids, because they're absolutely amazing children. And
the deaths were jarring for the community. 3 people taken in one singular shooting. Community leaders called out to stop the violence that they say plagues the community.
A prayer for peace.
We say together, amen.
And a call to action.
Join us, become a part of this movement.
Local faith leaders joined by Grand Rapids Police on Friday morning at Pilgrim Rest Missionary Baptist Church on the city's southeast side.
We're right here, so we have to do something.
About a half-mile away from Tuesday's tragic triple homicide, Charles Broomfield is charged with killing his ex-fiancée, Jacqueline Neal, and her sons, Michael and Cameron Kilpatrick.
When I heard the story, and it just hit me.
Pastor Daryl Gaddy knew something had to change.
Today we are announcing a 3-point plan that we are developing to move forward in our community.
The action items are community outreach, partnership with law enforcement, and youth empowerment.
This can be such a peaceful city and such a hopeful city when you have so many leaders in the community saying we're all in this together.
The plan calls for weekly prayer vigils in neighborhoods affected by violence and counseling for victims' families.
If we come alongside them in a healthy and a proper way, we will see them get healthier, and then the communities begin to change.
They also want to foster connections with the police, expanding officer ride-alongs and coffee conversations.
We need to be accountable, but we also hold our law enforcement accountable, and we work with them.
Another key point, providing resources for at-risk young people.
We will provide safe spaces for our young people, consistent mentors, academic support, workforce exposure, conflict resolution training, and leadership development, because we need leaders in our youth.
Working to stop crime by moving from reactivity to proactivity.
Life is precious. We can do better as a city, and we're going to do better, and we're going to take these steps.
It's far from easy to lose a child, even harder when it's 2 in such a tragic event. Conrad Kilpatrick, father of Michael and Cameron, spoke to 13 on Your Side about honoring his son's legacies.
Tell the story of my sons.
When he was 9 years old, Michael Kilpatrick wrote his father a letter.
Dad, I love you. You're the kindest and smartest person I've ever met. You gave me a life in this world, and I appreciate that so much. I feel like I never want to grow up. I always want to be your baby boy.
His dad, Conrad, says he always will be.
I'm not going to stop spreading that love. Ever. Because it's selfish to keep it to yourself.
The 13-year-old and his 15-year-old brother, Cameron.
But Cameron was the smartest. He cared about everybody's feelings. He was compassionate.
As well as their mother, Jacqueline Neal, were killed inside their home in Grand Rapids on Tuesday.
I'm so confused and lost. I just waiting every day for a phone call or a text message or them to come into the front door. It's only been, I don't even know how long, but it feels like it's been my whole entire life. They've been gone.
It's a loss he won't manage alone.
I'm very proud of him and this whole neighborhood, this whole community for coming together.
Kilpatrick was joined by dozens of family, friends, and community members on Saturday night for a candlelight vigil and balloon release at the Apple Tree Estates community, where they lived in Walker for many years.
I didn't even know that this many people would be here. Didn't even imagine it.
Abby Barnes is Michael and Cameron's half-sister and Jacqueline's daughter.
My mom was my absolute best friend. Literally, if no one else was there for me, she was the only person.
More than anything, their family doesn't want them to be forgotten.
We want their names to be alive. We want to continue to talk about them and how their lives impacted ours.
Let everybody know how amazing those boys were. Please. That's all I'm asking. I don't want anything else, because the only other thing I could ever ask for is to have them here in my arms.
Conrad says he'll never forget their love.
I have to find a way to preserve it so it doesn't get ruined, but it's going to be with me always.
Or that letter.
P.S. Love, Michael.
Broomfield remains in the Kent County Jail where he awaits his next court hearings. And next on the docket, the Grand Rapids police chief is leaving after 4 years with the city, and a Grand Rapids principal is in jail, accused of violating probation for a drunk driving charge. Grand Rapids Police Chief Eric Winstrom was announced as the new chief of police in Pensacola, Florida. He held a press conference where he shared his love for Grand Rapids and the excitement for what's ahead.
Looking back and moving forward, outgoing Grand Rapids Police Chief Eric Winstrom reflecting on his last 4 years as the city's top cop, as city manager Mark Washington announcing plans for his successor.
My immediate focus is on the continuity of leadership in the department.
With Winstrom on the way out, Washington has a plan.
I will be naming an interim chief and expect to make that announcement early next week.
After that, he'll begin the process of finding a permanent leader.
This will be a competitive process that will include engaging a professional search firm, creating opportunities from input from the public and law enforcement, and evaluating talent both inside and outside the organization.
Washington did not estimate how long it would take to find a successor. The previous transition from retiring chief Eric Payne in 2021 was protracted for a reason.
Police chief gave us a long runway, an 8-month announcement to his retirement. Our current chief didn't quite give us 8 months here.
While joking about the shorter notice, the city manager says Winstrom is one of the best police chiefs he's worked with over his 3 decades in local government.
Under Chief Winstrom's leadership, he has increased the department's morale, improved staffing, expanded neighborhood policing, increased the trust between the officers and our residents, implemented data-driven strategies, and contributed reductions in violent crime.
Saying goodbye, Winstrom calling his final press conference one of the hardest of his tenure.
We have the best city in the country. We have the best police department in the country. This decision came down to what is best for my family.
Winstrom's official last day as police chief here is scheduled for March 1st.
A Grand Rapids middle school principal is in jail. Court records show Charlie Lovelady, the principal at Alger Middle School, violated his probation for drunk driving. Lovelady was sentenced last May to 1-year probation for misdemeanor drunk driving, with a charge for having open alcohol in his car dismissed. He was arrested in December 2024 in Gaines Township, where Kent County Sheriff's deputies found Lovelady with a .244 blood alcohol content. That's 3 times over Michigan's legal limit. Before pleading, he was facing Michigan's high BAC charge, also known as the super drunk law. We have now learned Lovelady's probation officer filed in court documents that he failed to appear for drug/alcohol testing in July, tested positive for alcohol and marijuana in August, September, and November, tested positive for just alcohol in August and November, and tested positive for just marijuana in September. He also wrote that Lovelady tampered with his alcohol monitoring device in November. Court records show Lovelady wrote a letter to Judge Kirsten Holtz in December saying he would be appearing in her court for a probation violation. He acknowledged he tested positive and that he struggles with generational alcoholism and asked her not to sentence him to prison and jail. On Tuesday, Lovelady was sentenced to 10 days in the Kent County Jail, but his probation was continued. A statement from GRPS to Alger Middle School families and staff sent to 13 on Your Side reads, "The district has been informed that Mr. Lovelady was arrested on Tuesday, February 3rd. District leadership is actively working to gather additional information related to this matter. We can confirm that Mr. Lovelady was not on school property Tuesday." Today, Chief Area Instructional Leader Bridget Cheney is on site at Alger Middle School to provide continuity and support for our scholars and staff. Please know that our priority remains the well-being of our school community. We appreciate your understanding as this process moves forward. As of this taping, Lovelady is on paid administrative leave. He still, at this time, works at the district. A renewed effort to find justice for a Grand Rapids man who was shot and killed on Plainfield Avenue more than 5 years ago. Police have re-released surveillance video with the hope someone will come forward with new information in the death of 43-year-old Damone Bradley, a father of two.
Today, the sidewalk outside Pamela Bradley's apartment is quiet. But every time she walks out her front door, the night of November 15th, 2020 haunts her.
It hurts so bad because everybody else heard the gunshots, but I didn't. I don't know why.
Pamela's son, Damone Bradley, was shot and killed in Grand Rapids' Creston neighborhood over 5 years ago. He says her son was waiting for a ride after dinner.
He stopped at the door and told me he'd catch me later, and he gave me a hug and a kiss. That was the last time I saw my son alive.
The Grand Rapids Police Department re-released the security footage you see now of who they and Pamela believe killed Bradley.
That left leg looked kind of deformed or something. But I'm quite sure somebody know who he is. They just ain't said nothing yet. Or maybe they too scared to say anything.
The family wants answers.
He needs closure. His babies need closure. The family, we need closure.
For a man who was turning his life around.
He was trying to make sure he could take care of his family. He have 2 daughters.
She appreciates GRPD and knows there's other cases on their plates like her son's, but she believes her son's case is close to being solved.
Wherever you at, whoever you are, your day is on the reckoning sheet. They getting closer to you. One day.
If you have any information on the case, you can contact the Grand Rapids Police Department, their detectives, or Silent Observer. You can find that contact information on our website right now, 13onyourside.com. And next on the docket, we go into the courtroom to hear new evidence for a mom who wants a new trial after over 20 years locked up. And members of the Lakeshore community reached out to 13 on Your Side, frustrated at the violence they see in their neighborhood. A Zeeland mother who has spent more than 2 decades in prison for her daughter's murder could get a new trial. Karen Boos will have 4 days to convince a judge that new evidence should mean a new trial. At times, the courtroom got heated as Boos's team tried to argue what she's been saying for over 20 years.
It's been 23 years since Karen Boos has heard these words.
We, the people of the state of Michigan, find the defendant, Karen Sue Boos, guilty of first-degree felony murder.
After being convicted of setting her Zeeland house on fire and killing her 14-year-old daughter, Robin, in 2002, she spent decades maintaining her innocence.
I shall not stand accountable for this crime that I have been convicted of.
Now Boos is back in Ottawa County Circuit Court, claiming new fire expert testimony and false confession expert testimony could get her a new trial.
What 921 says about that is that such determinations should be subjected to increased scrutiny.
Boos's 2003 conviction hinged on the prosecution's expert fire testimony, saying Boos poured gasoline in Robin's bedroom, started the fire in the hallway, and confessed to the crime to multiple people. Thursday's hearing focused on expert fire investigation consultant John Lentini.
With respect to the new evidence, what is your view on the prosecution's investigation and theory of what happened in this fire?
That the scientific experiments and the scientific consensus about the appropriate way to investigate a fire has changed.
Lentini testified that methods used in the initial investigation were outdated, as the prosecution objected multiple times, saying the defense was not bringing in new evidence. Despite pushback by the prosecution during cross-examination, Lentini stood firm on his stance.
So you believe that there was one fire, just like DeHaan and Marquardt testified that there was one fire, correct?
Right, they just imagine that it started in the hallway, somehow got into the bedroom, caused an explosion 20 minutes later.
At the time of this hearing, Boos has 2 days left in her evidentiary hearing. During today's taping, the prosecution wrapped up their fire expert testimony, and there are 2 days reserved for expert testimony for false confessions next week after this taping. And a Fruitport man and his teenage grandson are charged in the accidental shooting death of the man's other grandson, who was also the teenager's brother. Although the prosecution and defense are usually on different sides, on this instance they agree this is a sad and tragic case.
A family is grieving as 2 members are charged in a shooting that killed 14-year-old Rylan Yeager in Fruitport Township. But this is not a case that either side wants to see.
He loved his grandsons, and he doesn't want to cause any more stress to anybody in the family.
This is without a doubt one of the more tragic cases I think I can remember in recent memory, if not the most tragic case, again, because everybody connected here to this case is related.
Gregory Holka appeared in court Friday, charged with the January safe storage violation resulting in death by a minor. His grandson, Rylan's teenage brother, is charged with manslaughter.
As a result, a minor obtained the firearm, discharged it, and inflicted death upon the minor.
Muskegon County Prosecutor's Office Chief Trial Attorney Matt Roberts says Holka's teenage grandson got a hold of a loaded, not secured shotgun, killing his brother. Roberts believes Holka's charge is the first safe storage violation case in the county. The minor's manslaughter case will play out in family court. Although Roberts knows people will question the charges in a case like this one, he says it's the law.
This is the exact scenario that the safe storage laws are meant to encompass, and it's just a reflection of the fact that the legislature says if you possess weapons and if you have minors in the home, there are certain things that have to be done, and unfortunately and tragically, that just did not occur in this case, and that can't be ignored.
Holka's attorney says his client has a message for the community.
He's here today with a man with no record, a long work history, well known in the community. Just a tragic accident, and I would describe my client as being as distraught as anybody I've ever represented.
Holka waived his preliminary hearing, sending his case straight to circuit court. People living in Muskegon's Sheldon Park neighborhood say they are on edge after several shootings. No one has been hurt, but bullets have hit at least one home, narrowly missing the people inside. They contacted 13 on Your Side for help.
We were just sitting down watching TV, having a cozy Sunday night, when all of a sudden we heard a bullet, well, multiple shots, but a bullet. We heard it hit the house, but we didn't know exactly where at first.
You didn't notice it until you had come out?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Till I came out and was walking back. One of the cops had a flashlight on my house, and I was like, well, that's what we heard.
People living in Muskegon's Sheldon Park neighborhood say it's become a pattern.
It's just sad. It's heartbreaking.
They heard gunshots each evening on Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday around the same time after 6 p.m.
People here are scared, myself included. I mean, my wife's head was 5 feet away from where that bullet hit her house.
Stephen R., who requested we not use his full name, says his family is now living in fear.
It was terrifying to put my kids to bed the other night. And as a father, that's heartbreaking.
The Muskegon Police Department is investigating.
Our goal with these type of cases is to come to some kind of long-term resolution, and that means a good, solid case built on evidence, so that takes a little bit of time.
Captain Tim Bahorsky says the department has increased patrols in the neighborhood. There were no shots reported on Wednesday night.
An increase in police presence, that brought us some peace of mind, but we got to find these people.
Steven says he's lived in the house with his family for 3 years. Nothing like this has ever happened before.
And where that construction equipment's at, that's where they fired all 12 rounds. They had all 12 bullet casings down there.
Bahorsky says the shots were likely fired by multiple people and concentrated in the area for a reason.
It's not just shooting for the sake of shooting. They're directing this towards someone else.
Steven says he and his neighbors want action taken to stop the shots.
Where's people taking ownership in that? Where's local leadership? Like, why aren't more people getting involved? Why is it so quiet on this? Is it just because it's Muskegon? Because that shouldn't fly.
According to reports that Captain Bahorsky reviewed, the shots were fired from a 9mm handgun. Anyone with information is encouraged to contact Silent Observer. Thanks for joining me on this episode of On the Docket on 13+. We have new episodes releasing every week, taking you into the courtroom for the latest updates and deep dives on crime in and around West Michigan. In the meantime, we'll bring you the latest on crime in court, both on air and online at 13onyourside.com. And when breaking news affects you and your community, we stream live on 13+ with what you need to know right when you need to know. We'll see you next time with updates on What's on the Docket.